Good afternoon, everybody. So yesterday, I went for a walk, and it was 20 degrees colder than it was today, and the ground was super wet because it rained all morning. So I didn't go to collect anything. On top of that, I can't get a hold of the people. I can't get a hold of the guys. So I'm just doing it myself. It's probably better that way anyway. Like I told interested parties, it's more work, but at the same time it's more money. And it's not like I have anything else going on. So I'll just do it alone. Not that big of a deal. That was the initial plan anyway. So, back to the basics or something, right? Now, this hour-long video I shot yesterday, I was pretty sure I was going to post it. But when I thought about it, it was like 15 minutes of anything worthwhile talking about. And then like 45 minutes of like randomness and reiterations. So I just threw it in my rant folder. So you guys might see it someday. Just not today. Or tomorrow. Or probably the next couple of years. But someday. Seeing that video isn't going out, I guess it's a good idea to say what day it is today. And the time, because it's just something I've been doing. So, here we go. Today's Monday. And it's roughly, should be around 2:30 now. So it's not the best time to be wandering through here for like workers and stuff. But, I mean, so far so good. And yesterday I came down here around 5 o'clock. But it was Sunday, so there was not going to be anybody here. But I probably could have went and got stuff yesterday. But I thought that by the time I'd get there and get out, it'd have been dark, and I just didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to deal with trying to climb any of those hills in the dark, or even in the mostly dark, even if it wasn't completely dark. So yeah, decided against it. Decided to follow the path up, seeing that there won't be anybody there to stop me. I'd walk up and see what there is to be saw, and there really wasn't much. They changed some things, and the way they landscaped the area where they've been dumping stuff kind of blocks me out from one of the areas I wanted to get to. But as long as I have the energy, I will find a way, because that's what I do. Other than that, some of the other stuff I talked about. I talked about some old lady that I was in line at the neighborhood store for like way too freaking long, but they only had one person working, and it was a nice day, so everybody was lined up. So I was in the lane for way too freaking long, and this one kid, one of those Chad types, how whatever the internet stereotype of a Chad would be, that's kind of what this guy reminded me of. I didn't talk to him too much for that exact moment. For that's one reason. One, and he was ahead of me, and the old lady was between us. The old lady seemed to take a pretty good liking to me, and decided to have a full-blown conversation for like 20 minutes of wait time. I'm not completely against it. I could use the social interaction, but we're pretty far apart on the age scale, so topics of conversation vary. And I'm not the most socially adept person as I used to be. So the conversation was a tad bit strange, but it was a welcome one, I suppose. It was nice, like I said, it was nice to have somebody to actually chat with. And I talked about that for a little bit. Nothing too crazy. somehow the conversation was leading towards worldly views, which, is always a great conversation with me, because I'm like, light it all on fire. It's pretty much dead anyway. But, the conversation somehow went to worldly views, and she said something about teaching children. And I'm like, the point I'm trying to make was that I'm out-influenced. Like, there's very few children out there that are going to listen to me. Like, I'm not uncool, but I'm not cool either, and you compete, if you put me in competition with, trying to teach them life lessons, you put me in competition with, like, big time social media, big time YouTubers, or their parents, or teachers from school, I'm not going to have much of an impact in comparison. And which, mostly that's alright with me. I don't like myself. I don't really want to be teaching the youth. But, which isn't completely true, because I think I have a good deal to offer. But it's just having an outlet of actually offering it. So yeah, that kind of got me a little bit. I was like, who's gonna listen to me? It just got to me, because I'm like, yeah, it's a good idea. We should teach our young. What I think is, it's degrading. Like, do you ever play the game where you tell a story to somebody, word of mouth? You just tell a story, like, whatever, just some stupid story, something you can think of, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, You tell that story to somebody, and then they repeat it, and then they repeat it, and then they repeat it, and then after it repeats 15 times, the story that comes out is like Beauty and the Beast or something. You get what I'm saying? So, all the knowledge my great-great-great-grandfather passed on to his son is a little bit less, a little bit different, so on and so forth. And yeah, you pick up things along the way, and somebody like me that has like a natural curiosity, I pick up quite a bit of information. But the point is, for the masses, every time you pass down that bits of information, it gets more distorted, more confusing, less memorable, I guess. And that's one of the reasons why I get to saying that, our people are just getting dumber and dumber. Something's making them that way. It's because there's not enough smart people left. And don't think I'm trying to toot my own horn, trying to say that I'm smart. I think intellectually, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have been above average. But, I don't have the same mental stimuli I used to have. I don't have as much of a reason to use my brain as I used to. Or, yeah, so I graduated average in my class. Like dead center average. And a large portion of that was home influences, and then a large portion of that was lack of motivation. So, like, I nailed average literally by not even trying. So, that could tell you something about my intellectual level. I'm not particularly smart, but I think in some regards I'm above average. And I don't know where this conversation was going. I'm just getting onto that ego. I'm just going on that ego trip, talking about my brilliance. Now, while we're talking about it, while I'm sounding like a self-absorbed psychopath, another thing is I was thinking, like, the one guy that's supposed to come junking metals with me, right? He's been no call, no showing to work for the past couple of days. So I was supposed to meet up with him, and we were supposed to talk about this one day or another. I'm stalling because I got to go down over that hill, and I'm getting onto the more open area, and I got to take a leak. So I want to close off the camera before I get out in the open. But he's been no calling, no showing to work, so he's going to get fired. The only reason they probably keep him on is because they are lacking people, which irritate me because I have in fact applied, but I can't completely blame them considering what I think I know about what's been happening to me. So I can't completely blame them. I mean, I guess I wouldn't hire me. It'd be too risky. But it's point in case is I always considered myself, like, 10 years ago, I'd be considered lazy. Somebody was talking about being lazy. And I was like, okay, 10 years ago, I would be considered lazy. But now, I'd be considered, hardworking to average. Because back then, more people took pride in their work. More people wanted to work. More people wanted to be better. Now, less people care, less people want to be better because everybody gets a lot of people get everything handed to them. So, why work? To be completely honest, the way my life is set up right now, as miserable as it is in some regards, I don't have anything I really have to pay for. So I don't have to work. I don't have to do half this stuff. But if I want to do anything at all enjoyable, I have to go and get my own money. So it's like, I don't know what I'm trying to, once again, I lost my train of thought. So, like, being lazy is something that's subjective. It's something that you kind of gauge through the years, through the civilization you're in. Like now, I consider myself to be, average to hardworking compared to most people, but 10 or 20 years ago, I probably have been considered lazy. So, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Things change. Yeah, that's the moral of the story. Things change. Alright, we're at the first decently open area. So I figured I'd chat and walk, because that's what I do. I wanted to say a couple of words to any future backpacking scrappers like myself. Somebody that, isn't gifted with the resources or luck to have a car, and isn't gifted with never-ending amounts of money, so they decide to go scrap. I want to give a few words of encouragement. As this is work, and as it's not the most glamorous and some people look down on it, it's a slight improvement for the environment. It's good, honest money. You're your own boss. And that should be enough on its own. Who cares what other people think? Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about, depending on the level of scrapper you are. So, like, for instance, if you're driving around with a flatbed, picking up washing machines to take in for scrap iron, that's like a level. If you're going around picking up with a pickup truck large amounts of extruded aluminum and whatever you find, but you're not like, you're taking in hundreds of pounds rather than thousands of pounds, that's like a level, Then you got like me. Well, I guess there'd probably be a level above me yet, but then you'd have like somebody that just people that like go around and like clean up and stuff and just clip off wires. And people like me will just say anything below the big, huge, ridiculous, people that pump out thousands of pounds of iron and aluminum on the regular, people that are going in with 50 or 60 pounds, I want to give some words of advice. All right. So if you're going to get started up, and you're going to do this, there's a couple of tools you should always have. Always. You should always take wire cutters to clip off any, TV cords and stuff. And you should always take a magnet with you. It's two things. They're pretty small. They're pretty lightweight. And you should have them constantly. Now, I'm slightly above the wire clipping people, because I'll sit and actually take the televisions apart. I'll take the vacuum cleaners apart, and I'll take the motors out and the yokes out. And that, one television. Are you copper? I don't think so. I don't know what you are. Rubber hose. But, I think I'm a step above the people that just kind of grab the already clean stuff and cut cords and just take off. I'm a step above those guys. Because I'll clean the motors, I'll clean the television yokes and the wires around the tube of the TV, and I'll do all that. So usually what I have on me, more or less when I'm out in places like this, I don't usually scrap on the streets, because you always have that running into people stigma, and you have the is this garbage, isn't this garbage stigma. So I usually go to where disrespectful people throw televisions off their truck down into the woods, and I strip them of their copper. And what I usually take with me is some sort of multi-tool, the one I use to clear the brush up here. Wire cutters, which the multi-tool has them, but I usually brought a pair of wire cutters anyway, so I'm not copper. At least I think so. Yeah. If it was iron, I wouldn't be able to bend it like that. Typically, this is the kind of stuff I'll find. I'll find 50 pieces like this, small pieces like this, to make a load. I don't usually find giant, huge, ridiculous piles of copper. That just doesn't happen. Anyways, I like to have a straight screwdriver, a Phillips screwdriver, or some sort of screwdriver that takes multiple bits, so that, I can get things apart real quick. Wire cutters, a multi-tool, and a magnet. That's pretty much all you need. For things that need to be a little bit more manhandled, giving it a good slam off the ground usually fixes most problems. So carrying a 3 or 4 pound hammer isn't always necessary. Gravity and the weight of the item can usually do the work for you. But 2 items you should always have, no matter what, is wire cutters and a magnet, because that'll get you. It's the best way of telling what a metal is. If you're not super attuned to it, you can still get steel that isn't magnetic. Usually it's stainless. Or you can confuse that weird zinc, hot metal-y stuff. That's some sort of alloy of a bunch of cheap metals to make little knickknacks. You can confuse that with aluminum sometimes. But most of the time, if it doesn't stick to a magnet, it's good to go. And the wire cutters, that's pretty obvious. You just, if you don't have time to rip the television apart, if you don't have time to rip the vacuum cleaner apart, or you're in an area where you don't want any hassle, then, you just clip the wire, roll it up, throw it in your bag, and keep on moving. Oh yeah, and if if you so desire, you could take a little file with you too, because if you're not great at determining what a metal is, if you file into it, you can almost always tell what it is. So that's a nifty little trick. I don't carry a file, except the one that's on my multi-tool, because I carry a magnet, and if it's not magnetic, it's usually something I want. So I don't overthink it too much. But if you're looking for something particular, like you only want brass, or you only want copper, or for some reason you only want aluminum, take a magnet and a file. You can narrow down what type of metal you have without taking it. For whatever reason you want to do that. Now, I can understand it to a point, because, like, if you're like me, and you're carrying everything on your back, you're going to want most money to weight. So you're not going to want to fill up an entire backpack full of aluminum like this, because, yeah, this thing's probably 2 or 3 pounds, but that's like $1.50, when a piece of copper that'd take up the same amount of area would be, 6, 7, 8 pounds, and it would be $3.50. So if you were being choosy, and you weren't going for, just fill up the bag as quick as possible, then you could take a file and a magnet. Alright. That's me educating the youth of America right there. When you find out that your entire life and everything you want to work for and want to have and want to do is pointless and nothing truly matters, go scrapping metal, because you get to be your own boss. It's good for the soul, not so good for the wallet, or if you're trying to be a social butterfly, in most cases. But good for the soul, because if you're doing it right, and you're not clipping, copper cables off telephone poles, then you're making a living with less impact on helping the man. And you don't have a boss. So you're not flipping burgers for the lazy pieces of crap that can't cook their own food. You're not getting yelled at by somebody, typically. That's not always true, but typically you're not getting yelled at by somebody. So it's a good way of going. Like I said, if you're looking at doing it to pay your rent, I wouldn't suggest it. If you're looking to do it to work towards retirement, I wouldn't suggest it. And if you're doing it to have a little fun money, then, it's a good way of going. If you're like, for instance, if you're like 15, 14 to 18, and you're trying to find your place in the world, and you're trying to get out and find a job, and you're trying to work on some sort of future, this is a really good way of keeping your social life going. It's a really good way of having a little bit of jingle to get you through the day. Because even when you don't find massive piles of hundreds and hundreds of dollars of copper, you still find this. And enough of these is a pretty good amount of money. I know I'm still carrying this stupid thing, because I didn't take my backpack off yet. I don't feel like doing that right now. But we're basically there. Now we'll walk back, screw it. Gonna keep this series going, I guess, until I get it all out of here. So today, I'm not going for fill the backpack as full as humanly possible. I'm going for take the stuff that needs the least amount of processing. Kind of like how I divided it up before. How I want to get this out, then this out. Well, I'm doing that now. And now that definitely, without a doubt, all the clean stuff is out of there, I gotta decide where the next step's gonna be. And I think it's gonna be those couple of pieces, and then some small stuff. The really big, thick, insulated pieces are definitely not going with me today. It's just, I haven't decided how I want to handle that yet. Like I said, it's still going to be a nice chunk of money, but it's going to be, we're getting down to the end where the stuff's getting more annoying and with less money, so I have less motivation. When it's mostly good, clean copper, you know, I know I'm going to get a good payout. I know I'm going to get a decent amount of money. But this is like my 5th or 6th trip back here, and I'm getting ready for a change of scenery. So I think I want to try to get what I can of the close to clean stuff today, and then I might work on getting that some sort of inflatable raft for the wire and just take it all in one trip. I'm not, like I said, I'm worried about that. I'm hung up on that idea because it is a really good idea. Like, people move stuff using waterways since the dawn of time. So it's a fantastic idea. It's just with the rocks there and how people are making stuff cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, it's like I get concerned that I'm going to spend either like $20 on something crappy, but it's going to work, or spend, a couple $100 on something that's sturdier and still might not work. As you can see, it's the rocks are pretty. There's a lot of rocks, lots and lots of rocks. So, and then I never actually kayaked before, so I'm not exactly sure how I would do any of that. It's a great idea because I know it's going to be a fun and easy way of doing it. But if I get one hole, one slice, it's going to completely screw me over. And I'm not a fan of that. Not thinking that's a good idea, because if all the copper sinks to the bottom of the river, that means I lose everything. This was not on my pile, and I'm pretty sure this is copper. I got to get it out from underneath this pile of iron. That'll be going with me because that's already clean. This here is probably steel. I'll check it with a magnet. I didn't see that before. And then I'm not taking anything from the far, far, far back pile, but I am going to take the cleaner stuff from here. Like, this piece is definitely going today. This piece is going. This is going. So I'll just angle grinder off some of the iron pieces and steel pieces. This is going to go because it's just tape. So the thick insulated stuff is probably not going to go. If I have a lot of space left, I might take some of those smaller chunks and then I'll just, slice them up at the house. Alright. We'll see how it goes from there. I think I'm going to sit and eat my beef jerky and drink a drink and decide what I'm going to do. Alright, so here's what I'm going to take with me. All of this, if I can get that bent up in a way that I can fit it in my bag, I'm going to try to take all this with me. And that's basically going to leave the 2 giant pieces of insulated back there, and those 2 pieces of insulated there. And that'll be that. Oh, I'm going to take that bottle too, if I remember. I was cleaning out my room and the pantry for this yard sale thing I'm doing. And I found my matching glove. So now I'm wearing gloves when I do this instead of getting tetanus. So that's kind of exciting. Alright, now I'm actually going to sit and eat something. I wanted to assess the situation and get that stuff out of there and see what I'm dealing with. This is probably what's going to go. As long as I can get that huge chunk bent up, which is going to be the more difficult part. But now that I have gloves, I can use more force without worrying. So, should be able to do it. We'll see. Welcome back. So this time I think it's the biggest load so far. My estimates would be between 35 and 40 pounds, which is okay, because that means whenever I'm done processing it, I'll get about the same amount as I would have if I cleaned it here and I just took in 30 pounds. It's a bit more of a strain, but it is what it is. I think I can handle it. And if I can't, well, then I can't. But we'll see. I don't think I set aside how much I wanted to take, and I made that decision. So you know, I stuffed it all in my bag. Figured as long as I can crush that big piece and I can make it all fit, that is how much I'm going to take, and that is what I did. So basically all I got to do is make it up this hill and then walk about a mile with about 40 pounds on my back. So, not that big of a deal. It's really not. It's really not. Once I make it up over the hill, it's really not that bad. But getting up the hill's the hard part. This my community trash bag. I leave a bag down here to put my trash in, so I don't have to carry the trash back, and I don't have to be a giant piece of garbage litter bug, and at least all my litter's in one spot. You know, it might not be the best way of doing things, but it makes me feel a little better. So whatever. Here you go. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say I don't think it's 40 pounds. 35 probably. But there's at least 5 pounds of insulation and iron that I have to get rid of. So it'll be about 30 pounds again. Like I said, when this string of things is over, I'll give you the total price overview of what I made hiking down here. So I'm gonna end this here. No price reveal today, because I have to process all this before I take it in. So no price reveal to the beginning of next episode. So catch you then. Yeah, I know I said I was ending the episode, but when I was trying to gain the mental fortitude to climb the hill, I came over here because I saw these railroad things and this white thing, and I'm not sure what it is. My guess is an old toilet, maybe the old back of a toilet. Now I was gonna see if I can get this off of here, because this is either copper or brass. Probably brass. I was gonna smash it, but then I realized it's cast iron, so that's not gonna work. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to use any kind of a wrench to break that loose. And I really highly doubt I'm moving this thing by myself. It's probably about a pound, less than a pound maybe, of brass, more than likely. I'd like to get it. This is one of those things that, it's just very, I don't know if I'll be able to do it, without getting hurt. Yeah, I might be able to move that. I could probably move that, throw on some gloves and use both hands. We'll see. we'll see. I'll still have to figure out how to get it out of there. But I'm going for real this time, because it's probably getting on to about 5:30. So it's a good time to get on out of here. So this time for real, I'm out of here. I'll keep a mental note of this. 90% sure, without any further testing, that it's probably all brass. Which isn't bad. It's still like $2, $2.50 a pound. But I'm not sure how I'm going to get it out of there without any real tools. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys next time.